and we're alive. It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
Wednesday, November 15th. And this is another edition of Live and Unscripted with your hosts, Jennifer Saunders and Leah, spelt
Ligia.
Ligia. Oh my gosh. I feel like we have so much to talk about. And at the same time, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And super happy to be here. If you are new to Live and Unscripted, this is a program where a lot of times we have a guest and we're interviewing a guest, which is super fun. And in the in-between times, then Leah and I just hop on and chat. But what I love about Live and Unscripted and why I created it, it actually came from a podcast that I hosted called Living Courageously Exposed. But I didn't really love having to do, I love real. I love life unfiltered and presenting that in my daily experience and showing you how to do the same and that it's actually okay to live unfiltered. So this program was one that I created just as live. I don't have to go back and edit stuff, and we just bring it to you how it is, and we let inspiration be the guide. The guests that we interview are just amazing souls. Will you do me a favor? I forgot to grab. Will you grab that stack right there? We're gonna raise you up just a little bit here. That way, I don't feel like I'm looking down. Let me flip it the other way. Hold on. We'll get it situated. I got caught up in runny noses today, so that's much better. I love seeing you eye to eye. Anyways, so it's a program where our guests get to come on live and unscripted as well. There's no set questions. We ask one question at the beginning, and then we allow, like I said, inspiration to just take over from there as far as what leads and directs the conversations. And I love what comes out of those conversations and how our guests really dive in and they give you their hearts. Many of them own businesses or run organizations or charities or whatnot, and we don't necessarily talk about that. We give you an opportunity to get to know them, and then we'll introduce what they're doing so that you have a better feel of who you're working with instead of just a company presenting itself. So any thoughts on that?
Just getting to the heart. That's when we tell people about what the podcast is about or the show is about. It's about leading with heart and getting to the heart of why we do what we do and looking at how that informs how we move through the world and the choices we make. It reminds me of the woman that I'm hoping to have soon that does the meat products.
I'm like, which one? Oh yeah.
Yes. And just her story and just how much thought she has put into her business and how she, it's just thoughtful and intentional in how she runs that.
So. A little teaser. We met her at a little farmer's market near where we live, and she was a vegan for many years, and now she sells meat. They raise cattle and sell meat, but it's in such a beautiful, very thoughtful and heart-centered way. I loved it. I loved her story.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing her back up. Yeah. I forgot.
I've had her on my mind lately, actually. So
then we shall reach out. Oh my gosh, I love it. Anyway, so we just bring to you amazing people with stories who have stories of learning how to come home to themselves and live in their hearts, and then to present themselves to you and to their communities with heart.
I think she just really sticks out for me because of how we don't want to do business and really doing business in a different way that is led with heart. And, most meat sellers sell it like there's a system and this is what works and this is how you do it. And I really admire her taking her own approach to what feels right for her in that. So
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So in the aspect or in the vein of going by inspiration, how we start each of our programs, once we've got all this stuff out of the way, is to bring ourselves right here, right now, where we slow down the mind, we slow down the heart, we bring things into coherence, and really step into that space where we can lean into inspiration. We can make decisions and choices from a heart-centered space because we actually can feel it and hear it. And like stepping out of everything that's already happened in the day and letting go of anything we think is going to happen in the day, and really just being right here with each other. And we invite you to do the breathing exercises with us. We keep it short. One, so that you just have a quick example of it, but two, so that you also have a tool that you can use daily or many times daily to, when you just find yourself in those like crunchy, want to be out of control. I know, crunchy, like your brain just feels crunchy and you're struggling to make decisions, or you're wanting to have blow ups, or you just feel off. I don't know how you just did that, but yeah. And to recognize that it only takes a short time of just pausing, slowing down, letting things come back into coherence to get you like up and running and recharged and ready to go again. So let's do box breathing today. And what that looks like is it's a breathing in through your nose for, I always say 4 or 5 count. You're welcome to do whatever count works best for you. You're going to hold that inhale for the same count, releasing through your mouth for the same count, holding the exhale, like breathing out as much as you can, and then holding that exhale for the same count. Today, I'm going to invite you to, as you're exhaling, just any tension or places in your body that don't feel good, or that any like lower energy thoughts that may be wanting to really take over, just breathe those things out and watch them leave your body and transform. And as they're transforming, to breathe in what you would rather be experiencing as well. Like breathe in joy, breathe in peace, breathe in I just lost the word, whatever it is for you. And breathe that in. And as you're doing that, let that like go in and soak all the way down into your hip bones, push it down into your legs, push it out to your arms, like watch it explode out your toes, out your fingers, and let that feeling marinate in your body as we're going through this. So as we do this, I'm going to invite you to do it with either a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels most comfortable for you. We're going to do it with you. Leah just gave my next thing. I love to do it with hands on my heart, extra connection. And it feels good. I mean, it just feels good. So we'll go ahead and start, and we'll do the first ones with you. So again, taking that downward gaze or those closed eyes, breathing in through your nose. And as you do that, push that air all the way down, hold that inhale, breathing it out, pushing out as much air as you can, holding that exhale, and then just repeat. And we'll go 3 cycles. Awesome. Finishing up the cycle that you're in. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Leah, how was that for you today?
Honestly, it took me back to the retreat that we were at last week, and there was this amazing soul. Her name is Dewey, and she let us. There was, I don't know what happened, but like there was some misunderstanding at the beginning of her presentation, and this was happening and that was happening. She's like, you know what? Let's just try something and like bring it back down. And
yes, I remember.
And she took it down to like, let's start at your feet and be aware of your feet. And then she worked up your body and then breathing back down your body. And that's where my mind went today when we were breathing. One, because it brought me a lot of joy doing it that way.
Right.
And I love the idea of being put back in your body. And it reminded me of a podcast I was listening to about neuroscience and how breathing affects us and how our brains have to like filter all the things. Otherwise it's overwhelming, but I think sometimes we get so caught up in what we're doing, we forget to be in our bodies. Like once we put our clothes on, we don't really think about our clothes and how it feels on our body. But this exercise helps you like just be aware of where you are in space and how things feel on you and what's feeling pinchy. And yeah, it's so cool.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I loved that moment when we were trying to get started for the day and there just was a lot of ruckus. And sometimes when you got a bunch of women together, especially when they know each other or they know the facilitator, they don't always obey the time limits or the timelines. And so it was a challenge. It was, and we're trying to get things started and stay on a time line per se. And I just love how beautifully she's like, okay, pause. We're going to pause. This is how we're going to do this. And everyone's going to just how it shifted. Mm-hmm. It brought things into that coherent state. And then we had she gave a beautiful presentation. So thank you for that reminder. Today for me, usually this is something that, like I feel myself just go, I feel myself settle into it. And I feel my heart slow, my mind slow, because I know when I get on here, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to share what we have to share, what our guests have to share. And I know that I can be really wound up, although I have been very mindful of that and have tried to start on the slow end of things. But today, I don't know that I felt that just like calming, like just gearing down feeling that sometimes I have. Actually felt a little bit of like I don't know, just that feel like holding the breath today was a little more challenging for me. And I don't know if that's because of how I feel in my body maybe. So that was an interesting experience today. Maybe I just don't want to be geared down today. It was like, yeah, whatever, breathe. Okay. So we would love to hear how you experience it, and then whether or not you take the practice into your daily lived experience, and if you're choosing to practice it, what you're experiencing and how it's shifting things for you, or what it brings to you. So, oh my gosh, with that, we're gonna move on. Oh my gosh, Rebel boards. I think that's where we're gonna start. I want to start there, Rebel boards. So this is something that's really been present on our minds because it's part of our 100-day, oh my gosh,
expansion.
100 days of expansion. All of a sudden, all I could think of was adventure.
It is an adventure.
It is an adventure.
Definitely.
But it was the only thing I could think of. So the 100 days of expansion adventure is creating a Rebel board. So really getting in and having an idea of what it is we want to accomplish in the next year, starting now, and then creating with the senses, the way to see it with the senses. So using our touch, using the sense of hearing. And for me, the hearing is, the scissors cutting through the pages and being able to use my sight by seeing pictures and possibly hearing sounds of similar things that I've heard in the past. So really just like getting in and owning that stuff now. So I'm excited to talk about that today. Speaking of 100 days of expansion, if you haven't registered, it's not too late. We started on November 1st, and you can join us wherever you're at. The idea is to just start now to end this year really strong and in your power. So, and then moving into 2024 with just massive momentum that will take you into February, so that when you get to the point in January where you're like, oh my gosh, why New Year's resolutions, you've tossed them out the window and you're like, yeah, whatever, that you're already in motion and sliding right on into February with just beautiful momentum. And there was another word. It was probably something I was going to make up because I was going to try to be funny, but that didn't work so well. So
Sometimes that line is funnier than whatever you might
I'm
have
like
said.
moving on. My thinker feels a little bit not wanting to think today, so just bear with me, and we're going to leave it at that. So rebel boards.
Yeah. So last week as we shared, we were at the Women Supporting Women Retreat Meets Mastermind with Luba Sakarut. And part of our job there was to facilitate rebel boards and create that space for people to start thinking, but not only thinking and visualizing, but really feeling. That was a big part of.
So that right there, before you go into that, so I know ours is behind us, or a good start of it anyway. It's not finished, as you can see. And it looks a whole lot like what you may call a vision board, because you can see a whole lot of things on here. But Leah, tell us how this board differs, or how rebel boards differ from like just your everyday vision board.
It's really focusing on the feel of what is it you want to feel in the next year. When we think of things that we want to achieve, we're usually chasing a feeling that we think that achieving that will bring us. So, for example, I put, being strong. When I feel strong, I feel, to me, that is like mentally, physically, just in all the areas of my life. And the feeling that I feel that would bring me is like a confidence, or a sense of like being in my power. That's what I relate to that. So it's really focusing on what you want to feel, because that's what we're chasing is a feeling, whether it's acceptance or just power.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. So a lot of times when vision boards are created, we find all these things that we think would be fun to have, and we call it oh shoot, what's the word? Like having the things and having the, all of a sudden words are just escaping me today. But the reality is, like, we can put things on here. Like I have a pickup. We have some like travel places. We have those things. But the crazy thing is we can get to those things and be like, woohoo, I made it, and still feel very unfulfilled. We can still feel not happy. We can still feel not successful. We can still feel the things that we're feeling maybe currently. And just because we reach those things doesn't, and all of that stuff, keyword stuff with capital letters, can be taken away. It can be shifted. It can be demolished and obliterated from your existence. And if you've put your happiness or your success
Value,
measures
your
or your
worth.
value, your worth into the things, if those things disappear, then like your whole world disappears.
Well, the thought,
your
that
sense of self.
Yeah, the thought that just came to me is like, say you want to, family is important to you. You want to be a mom if you're a woman. And what if your body isn't designed for that, or whatever? Like, are you?
Or it shifts.
Yeah,
life shifts, and I've been in a space where my momhood shifted, and I remember feeling lost and learning to how to readjust to that. And I didn't have some of the like deeper sense of like what being a mom was to me. It was just something that I don't know that I always aspired to it. It's something I always wanted, but I don't know that I really knew why I wanted it.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me to, why are you putting the things on these boards? Like, really having a thought. Is it something you actually want, or is it something that society has told you should want, or your parents have told you want, or your boss at work, or a friend, or
your religious practice, or the school, whatever. There's a lot of systems.
And I think one of the things I've talked about this before, but a shifting point for me was in a coaching call with someone, and they asked me, what is it you want, Leah? And I said, I want this, I want that, and I want. He's like, no. I didn't say what you want for your partner, or what you want for your kids, or what you want for your mom. What do you want? And he's like, you can't want something bad enough for someone else.
Well, and I appreciate you always bringing that up. I think it's such a good reminder that it's kind of like that. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can teach all the great things. We can do all of this. Honestly, that right there is probably one of the biggest blocks I've had in actually stepping out and really doing coaching and teaching and speaking and all the transformational stuff that I'm sent on this planet to do, is because I've always thought it was my responsibility to actually make sure that those transformations work, that those people have those shifts, when in reality, my job is to just present information and to present ideas and to share tools. And then it's up to you to actually do the damn work. And sometimes we want to do the work, or we think we want to do the work, and other times we're just not ready. And maybe it's just that it was time for us to like gather a tool and have it in our box. And then when we're really ready, we're like, wait a minute, I have a tool. Once upon a time, I gathered a tool, and then you have it, and you can pull it out and be like, okay, how do I practice this? How do I get a refresh on this if needed? And so I appreciate you bringing that up. We've got a picture board on the wall in here, and there's a placard on it that I actually haven't read for a couple of weeks that said something about, you have permission to do what makes you happy, or
You're not responsible for.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. But basically it says you can do what makes you happy, even if it makes other people unhappy, basically. And it's not that your intent, I struggle with that. Like I flat out have struggled with that. I don't like causing discomfort for other people, and I don't enjoy seeing other people unhappy or sad at the choices or the decisions that I make because they feel good for me. And I've always thought, I've let that run my world, and to step into the place where it's like, I get to make choices that make me happy, and to live and to do the things and to put the things on here that bring me happiness. Because when I look at this board and I think, okay, what are the feelings and the emotions underneath all of these pictures and things? And it's love. I actually put love on here. It's love. It's connection. It's community. It's a sense of self and fulfillment. We actually put on here, start with self-love. That's the most powerful thing for me, is when we do things out of self-love, then our intentions for pretty much anything else we do are integrous and in alignment with.
We're not doing it from a place of lack.
Right. And serving other people and actually having their best interest in mind, because we love ourselves. That hole is not a hole. It's filled by us. So you have permission to build your board and put the things on it that really make you happy, that make your heart soar, even if someone else. And the biggest challenge for me are the people that are closest to me. It's usually our family members, maybe some of our closest friends, just people that we have relationship with that we don't want to lose relationship with. And that's been my experience anyway. So as we did the board, part of the things I'm trying to think of a good example of pictures on here. So speaking, we'll just say speaking. Part of the thing that I want to experience in 2024 is what it feels like to speak on many stages to thousands of people. What does it take? What are the steps that it takes for me to have that experience? It's not that I want to get up and speak in front of all of these people so that I can feel good and it's about who am I as a person when I get to do that? And what does that feel like in my growth and expansion process? And the joy and the love and transformation that I can bring to other people. Go for it.
I was just, when you were talking, I remembered Siri that we met at the retreat.
Oh my gosh. Adorable soul.
Yeah, she was delightful. She had a talk about dreams, and she asked a question near the end, like, do you think do you think all dreams come true, or all dreams should come true?
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone's like, yeah, of course. And she's like, I don't.
She's like, no. Matter of fact.
Yeah.
No.
And I love that, because she's like, it's not even about the dream. It's about who you become on the way to that dream. And I thought that was just such a powerful reminder.
It's that cliche phrase. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah, that. Or shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars. That's what I thought.
Yeah. That's funny, because I said that to my client yesterday. And when we think about those things, I think about the experiences that I've had in the endurance running stuff that I've done, or in some of the bigger goals that I've had, and like really understanding. I saw that look. Understanding, like having those like big aha moments of like, oh my gosh, I finally get it. It actually is about the journey. When people would say, aren't you afraid to run 100 miles? And it's not that I was afraid to run 100 miles. I was more nervous and concerned about who I was going to become or recognize inside myself inside of running 100 miles. And I think that's with any process. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
What was that smile, that like mischievousness that came across your face?
Because it's not often that you use the word goals in reference to things that you're striving towards.
Back then it was goals, for sure. I have since shifted. I don't necessarily believe in goals. Just like should our dreams come true?
Yeah.
It's those mindset shifts. Had to think that really carefully, because a different word wanted to pop out of my mouth.
Right.
So yeah. Tell us more.
Well, about setting intentions. How is it you want to feel this year? I think what keeps coming up to my mind right now is when we did our talk about what are we afraid of, and how some of our choices up here can reflect, if we don't achieve them, if we don't show those measures of success, it can really poke up some fears within ourselves.
Okay, can we just be really real for a minute?
Okay.
Because that's what I'm all about. And sometimes that's really freaking scary. But it just came into my mind, the inspiration piece. And so I would like to talk about it. And I just felt a huge wave of emotion. You know, you're talking about success and the things that you're just talking about. And I thought, oh my heck, by many measures and metrics, based off of this last year and the things that we wanted to accomplish and the things that we put together, we're freaking failures. Like, if you were to look at those, and again, this comes back to Rebel boards, we would be deemed failures. People could very easily look at what we had planned for this year, as far as business stuff and putting together events, and so that you could come and be a part of them with us, and we could share our amazingness with you, and just beautiful tools and information. And up to this point, looking at the metrics and all those things, we very easily could be deemed failures. But the reality is, the intention behind all of that, I don't feel like a failure at all. Okay, so I have moments where I have felt like a failure. Let's be real. I'm human. I wear skin on my bones just like you do. And I have the same kinds of teachings, and, get in there and grind and get it done and hustle and set your goals and all of the things, and just, it feels like that. I have all of that too. And that's something that I have battled against, because my heart tells me different. And it is my intention and on my board to bring my business and what I do to you differently, because I want to come to you from my heart. And I know that Leah does as well. And to teach you how to feel. I know that I just said the biggest, scariest F word on this planet, to feel and to live life through feeling, and to really recognize, like, to choose to do something because it feels right, not because they've said all the right words and punched all the right buttons. And I don't want to punch buttons for you, friends. I want to provide experiences where you go, yes, yes, I want to bring the joy. I want to add the joy. I want to add the playfulness. We want to add the creativity. We don't want to punch your buttons. Because my philosophy is that when we add all the goodness, the other shizzle falls away. So, because for myself, I chose to practice surrender. And I don't even know, honestly, that I did it intentionally or with great consciousness until I recognized it later in the year. And it probably actually wasn't until maybe even February, January, that I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to choose to surrender and to set the intentions, to which our intentions were to start building a business, to get content, to start building resources of people, and building community, and reaching out and getting to know people better, and how to support their businesses, and to bring people into our personal lives, but also into the business, that are high vibing people that have great value to add, and not just transactions. I value people. Transactions come second. Although it is a part of our business, it has to happen. You're what matters to us. So we could look at the metrics and say, oh my gosh, we're failures. Or we can keep showing up for you, because that was our intention, was to show up and to continue to show up for myself, for you, for the business, for you. And by all means, by those metrics, we're hugely successful. And so as you're thinking about vision boards and we're talking about it, I think that's the biggest piece, and the biggest difference between a vision board and a rebel board is the feeling behind all of the things that are on it.
It's just so funny when you say the feeling part, because when we would bring that up in the group.
What group?
When we did it on last week.
Okay, yeah. With our corporate friends.
Yeah. And just how challenging it was for them to answer that. Like, oh, you want to go deep, do you? Yeah, that's the whole purpose.
Isn't it funny though? It's not even, you don't even have to go that deep. You just have to look underneath. And but that can be scary.
Yeah, but the default is to go surfacey, is to, go with what everyone knows and what everyone's used to.
Vanity metrics. That's the word. Vanity metrics. All of a sudden, I'm like, you used a word. It's not about vanity metrics. It's not about having a big boat or a new fancy car or, the big fancy house. Or those things aren't bad. That, like, you totally can go for those things. But do you know why?
Yeah. Love that. When we were talking, I thought of, like, what are the voices? I think I've been really aware. I wasn't. Like, do you ever have those moments where you feel like a nagging is going on in your head, and you're like, you're not even like, where's this coming from? This isn't how I felt yesterday. Like, and I've just been really aware of what that voice has been for me. And it's been so fascinating to see how that's shifted from, I don't feel it's attached to me. I can see it and recognize whose voice it is, where it comes from.
It's so funny that you say that, because as you say that, I can see the little, like, they're like bing around. I'm like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah, that. But just really taking a second to recognize, like, when you have those moments where you're doubting, or you're like, in the negative spiral or whatever, like, whose voice is that for you? And is it true? Is there actual validity to that? Or is that just their experience that you've, in interactions or in fears of not matching up to what their standards of how you should live your life is? Have you adapted, and you know that voice so well that it just has become almost like your own.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up. Like, it's so easy to believe that the voices that we're hearing inside of our heads are our own, and to find the ways to step back and to recognize that they're not. And we have some tools and ways to help you with that, friends. I should say rebels. I should say. I really appreciate you bringing that up, because when we can learn to differentiate that, life shifts, and it can shift quickly, because you're learning to be with and hear your own voice, like to actually recognize
what's yours,
what is yours, which I'm not gonna lie, can sometimes feel scary because we're not accustomed to it. We think everything else is our voice, and sometimes our voice asks us to do some scary things. It asks us to do, to take some risks and to do things that feel out of the ordinary.
So, shifting a little bit, I was thinking of one of my favorite parts in that facilitation was everyone sharing. Some people did doodles, some people everyone had their own process, and I just, where their core is and what matters to them. So I'd like to invite you, Jen, what's something that you've put on here that you wanted to share that really has some meaning for you, or just how you see it feeling out in the next year.
Yeah. So like I said a few minutes ago, starting with self-love, that really is one of the biggest feeling things underneath all of this is to recognize the love that I have for myself, so that no matter where I go and no matter what happens, I'm okay. And that there is so much power in that. And so when I'm creating business, and by all, the outside metrics that would say I'm a failure, I can look at it and be like, I'm not a failure, because I kept showing up for myself. I did it. I did the things that I did with my own self-love in mind, and I'm practicing. I'm getting to go out on the practice grounds and fall down and get bruised up, and to recognize whoa, I need to learn how to move to the right here instead of the left, so I don't get smashed, or how to really interact with people. And for me, that the battle, because it feels like a battle for me, of knowing the ways to move forward heart-centered, and to shift the way that we do business without compromising, how to get into things without compromising this, so that I can participate in what most people know. And without self-love, I honestly would have felt completely defeated. And I've had some moments of feeling defeat, but because I have learned to have a love for myself and know who I am, and I know my voice, that's helped me a lot to be able to pick myself up and keep moving forward when it feels like no one's listening. So for me, I put on here, this happens to be a mock-up of my book cover. I started in January. It was supposed to come, again, it's a metric. It was supposed to come out in July. There was a lot of life. And so the feeling underneath this, it's not about being an author and having a book. For me, it's about, I want to know what it feels like to sit at my computer and learn how to get my thoughts out, not in a private way by way of a journal, but to share them in a way that brings value to you, and can also give you permission to share your own story, and to recognize that your lived experiences have huge value, and you never know what and when your experience will assist someone else or maybe even save their life. And so for me, it's about what does it feel like to sit down and do that? And who do I become? Who do I get to become? Because I chose to have this on my board. And again, doing it out of self-love because I have things to share and I want to share them in that way. I feel pulled to share them in that way. So I'm also following my heart. Other things on here are like, okay, this one.
Yeah,
Let's say the bath. This is a
one.
picture of a big bathtub. I love hot soaks. I love hot water. I love natural hot springs. I love bubbles. I love to listen to them. I love to watch them. And so it's not about having a big tub. It's about the feeling of fulfillment. When I'm in that space of fulfillment, contentment, and ease, and just the experience of solace and letting go and just honestly being with the water and the bubbles. And so the bathtub is just a really great representation of that for me. And then the river trip. This is a picture we put on here from this year's river trip. And for me, again, it's about putting on a retreat, but it's also about the feeling of me. It was about me pushing my edges and expansion in ways that I haven't experienced it before, and facing my own fear. And again, who do I get to be when I take fear along for a ride? And then presenting that to you, like, and facilitating a way for you to push your edges and the joy and the natural high that comes from being in that experience with you. It's far more than just getting on boats and going down white water for me, or seeing. It's all of the other things. It's experiencing the power of the water and the nature that's around us, and watching the lessons that the birds teach us, or just how things just and being able to take that inside of myself. So those are a few of mine. How about you?
I think the biggest one for me is the creativity piece. So having people wear my designs or my art.
Art that travels. Is that what Erica called it?
Art that travels. And really this is my creative fairy. I had someone call me a fairy, but it wasn't in a nice way. But then I've learned to really own that, because it is where my magic is. It is where I create from, and really embracing that piece of myself, and realizing that's where my power is, and that's where my calm is, and that's where I come alive. And
when you're in that space, it's so fun to watch when she's in that space. Just like it's fun to watch you when you're in those spaces that are just really you. It is magical. And
it doesn't feel like when you allow yourself to be in it, you're not really you. It's more like you allow things to come through you. And like,
I just keep thinking bibbity bobbity boo. Boom.
Yeah, that's definitely how it feels. And just whether it's in books and writing, or it's painting, or it's how this has been in my heart for a couple years now, is the heart and soul wall, as far as like putting visual aspects to our intentions, like not intentions, but our missions or vision. I think of companies, or I think of families.
Families.
Yeah, I had that wall at my house, and it was a way to have conversation with my kids about like values I wanted to teach, but it wasn't just for them. It was reminders for how I want to show up in the world. And I just, I feel like if it's, instead of having like statements and, paragraphs, like have
pictures,
something that's engaging, that makes you want to look at it. And then the magic thing is like, when you switch the order of them, it's like they're brand new. It's like it's such a cool thing, and it makes you look at it in a different way and think about it differently.
And here's the really cool thing beyond like this story of it is, that's a service we do for you. If you're interested in culture walls or heart and soul walls for your offices, for your companies, for your families, reach out. We do that for you.
Yeah. So creation is a big place for me. It's where I connect. It's where I express. It's where I learn to share. Where I'm vulnerable, because it's that bringing of what's inside you out into the world. Because we're all creators, no matter what your skill level is. It's really knowing what your creative language is. Whether for me, it's painting and writing. For you, it might be cooking and having really great conversations, or, woodworking, whatever it is for you. It's making space for you to create, and just feeling parts of you come alive.
I love it. And as you're saying that, I'm like, I'm noticing this round one back here. Whoa. It's this is Asher. He's a little flame. Why am I moving? He's a little flame. He happens to be the mascot of a big trail race that I do here in Idaho. If you're a trail runner, we have a 5K, 12K, 30K, 55K run on dormant tufted volcanoes, like some of the biggest in the world, actually. Right here in little old Idaho. But we created this. This is the sticker for this year, and it says VIB, because anyone who runs that race, we call them bad ashes. And so I love watching people become very important bad ashes, which means accomplishing hard things. Like, I get no greater joy. Well, it's right up there with the greater joy things than watching people, accomplish hard things, because I've been there myself. I know the feeling of doing something hard, like really hard, physically. And there's so much learning that comes when we do those physical things. And again, we're adding the creativity of like how to get through some of these things, and to watch what happens when they start the race and how they progress through, and then who they are when they finish, especially the ones who've had a struggle or were really apprehensive or maybe even fearful to start it. And so the very important badass piece is something that the feeling of that for me is kind of out of this world. It's a natural high. And I think that's part of what Righteous Rebels is for me too, is just presenting opportunities for you to play and create, but also to do some challenging things that are going to challenge you mentally, emotionally, for sure, physically, because I see what comes out on the other side. And that for me is just like, hands down, bar none, one of the greatest things to experience on this planet.
Yeah.
I may have just said all my words.
I think so.
So, with that said, we do have a couple of things available for you currently. One of them is free, with the capital FREE, and that is our 100 Days of Expansion adventure going on right now. We will put the link, Leah will put the link in the comments so that you can click to register to be a part of that. It was created with the intention to have a buddy system and bi-weekly check-ins via Zoom. If you want extra support and coaching, that's an add-on that you can have for a small investment. But really, it's a way to get support as you end 2023 and move into 2024. We're doing it ourselves, and super excited for that. The next thing is the river trip. Registration for next year's Surviving Life and Leadership retreat, river retreat, is on August 14th through 20th. And details for that will also be put in the comments. If you have questions beyond that, feel free to reach out. We're more than happy to answer those questions, because we would like to have you in the boat and to be having that experience along with us. Holy cow. It shifted me more than I thought that it would. it shifted me a lot more than I thought that it would. And I would love to share in that experience and support you in that experience in 2024. So registration for that is now open and available. It's a $500 deposit, and then we have a payment system if you want to break it down into 2 payments beyond that, because it is an investment in yourself, and you also can pay in full if you'd like. Reach out with questions. We're more than happy to answer.
So what comes to mind is what we shared that trip is about. It's not just a vacation. It's a way to, I thought of places in life where life has shifted, and your what was comfortable is not your everyday anymore. And that trip is really a great way for you to recalibrate and find some clarity on where you want to go in the next stage of your life, whether it's like relationship change or work change, or, kids moving out, or like you just got to a point in life where things are shifting and you have to find a new normal.
Or you may just feel crunchiness, like not sure where to go or how to do it. And I love that you use the word clarity. So this is something that is beautiful for any woman who is in the corporate world, all the way down to, maybe you're a soccer coach. Maybe you get to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you're a creative who paints or writes, or anything that you just can find yourself in a mind crunch, and like you need some clarity and some blockages released. This is a place for you.
Well, the phrase that comes to mind is you can't fix the problem. What is it?
You can't fix a problem from the place
problems.
that it was created.
You can't solve the problems from the place that it was created.
And wow, this is a beautiful way to get you out of the places that it was created.
Well, it's about self-leadership. It's about finding some tools and perspective on
well, I was thinking, like, when we did the river trip, we were still in an active fire zone. Mm-hmm. There wasn't fire all around us, although we still saw smoldering trees and all of that. And it was such a beautiful, and it's coming to me now, like this beautiful reminder of that even though things burned down, there was still massive beauty and learning, and the same in your life. Like, man, sometimes life just feels like it freaking burns down. And I love that piece about nature, is that it teaches us really powerful lessons that we can apply into our everyday world. So, and it does it in such a peaceful, mostly, sometimes weather can be a little bit rough, but
so sign up for that,
or
reach out if you want to know more about it. And we also,
what about this?
With Rebel Boards, we're going to be holding November 30th an online and live session to go through what a Rebel Board is.
Okay, wait, did you say online and in person?
Yes.
Wow. Woo. I like it. Like it a lot.
It's like, didn't we agree to that?
Totally agreed to that. I just was emphasizing you can be online or you can be in person. And if you can be in person, oh my heck, we would love to have that.
So details for that are to come, but we wanted to give you the date. November 30th in the evening is what we're planning on. We are in MST, so it'll be probably around 7 MST, maybe, something around that.
Yeah.
So details to come, but mark your calendars and save the date and start feeling into what you want 2024 to feel like.
I love it. I love you said feel into what you want it to be like.
Yeah.
Maybe you said feel like.
Probably feel like.
Either way, we're excited to be a part of that with you. So I think we're done here. Like, I don't have any more pressing thoughts, and thanks for sharing what you shared about the board today. And we would love to have that experience with you on November 30th. So I guess until Thursday. Oh wait, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where Leah will do we're calling it now, Paint Cast, Creative Unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
are we sticking with how we've done it in the past?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. We're not
So-
going to tell you what that looks like. That means Jen gets to be uncomfortable while Leah teaches.
Yeah.
And I talk through the mind shiz that happens in the creative process, in the perfectionistic pieces that still want to hang on in my brain.
Yeah.
It's been a really great experience. So join us tomorrow, the 16th of November, for creative unraveling. Leah does a fabulous job. And until then,
remember,
be
be
bold,
bold,
be brave, be a rebel. We'll see you soon.